Meeting to order. First thing is approval of the minutes of February 18th.
I move we approve the minutes of February 18th.
I second.
Is there any discussion?
No?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's see, additions to agenda. I had three. One was information about the coronavirus. Second is a request from Tom Euclidо to be appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and third is a letter from Little Guild.
Good.
Okay, is that a second?
I guess second.
Okay, any other additions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We do have many guests tonight. I think a lot of it will be covered under budgetary things, but I didn't have any communications. One thing that's not a budgetary thing, but I asked to come in. Terry Burke is here representing the Discover Connecticut Bicycle Tour, Sunday, July 19th, 2020. And this is something that's happened successfully before in Cornwall. Was it the last year, the first year?
Last year was the first year.
Yes. And how many people participated, do you know?
I think 103.
Wow.
Okay, more or less.
That's appreciable.
Great. So I think I sent the board, did I send you information on this? And again, it's just, this is fairly routine. People request use of the town roads for a bicycle race. And it's not a race, it's a ride, excuse me. Roads will not be closed. And again, people are welcome to come bicycle the roads in Cornwall safely. So again, I just thought it's an opportunity, something exciting going on in town, and give Terry and maybe John a couple minutes just to talk about the race and what it hopes to do and whatever they want to talk about. So, the race, you're on.
Well, so, not a race, it's a
The ride.
not competitive, we're taking it very, very carefully. It was very successful last year. We had a lot of people from out of town, and we do it in conjunction with Bike Walk Connecticut, which is the statewide advocacy for their mission is to change the culture of transportation to include bicycling and pedestrians much more so, and to make it safe and feasible for them to use the roads in Connecticut. They provide the tents and all the structure, and our bicycle committee here knows the roads. We provide the routes, and we've applied to each of the towns, and they were all approved last year, and hopefully it'll be a success this year. One thing I'd like to point out is I was talking with Bob Ensign, and he asked about electric bikes, and if anyone in Cornwall would like to get an electric bike or rent it from him, they're very, very welcome to come, because it's fairly challenging. We got Creed Hill and so on, but with an electric bike you can match pace with everyone.
Isn't it?
He doesn't need an electric bike.
No, for me.
Yeah.
Right. So, anyway, I've just signed this, and any questions, any concerns,
It's great.
anything, I think it's just a great thing to have
One
go.
last thing, sorry, I meant to say is that Bike Walk Connecticut, the other reason we work with them is they also cover the entire event under the American League of Bicyclists insurance. So
Okay.
all the riders and all liabilities covered by the League of American Bicyclists.
And do they give the town, they'll give the towns a certificate of insurance?
I could get a copy of it
That'd be good.
for each of them,
Yeah. Just in
What
case.
happens is, I can get it, but the actual, what we pay depends on how many people turn up. We've got a week
Right.
after the event to put it in. Of the people who pay to participate, $6 of their entry fee goes towards the insurance, so they check out how many we've had.
Okay.
I'll get a copy of the insurance from Susan for the time.
I could just add one thing.
Sure.
That the shortest leg of this ride, we have four distances, goes directly from downtown in Falls Village and comes along River Road and ends, well, halfway point is right at Bob's shop, essentially. Is where
Oh,
we set
nice.
up last year. So it's going to come right down to West Cornwall, and then we have a water set up there. I think we may do a little bit more than we did last year, so we have more time to plan. And then it just turns around and goes back. And so that, for beginners, that turned out to be about a 13-mile ride on fairly flat for our neck of the woods and very protected roads. So that, but the electric bikes would be perfect for that. They've got the right tires, and there is a little bit of uphill if anybody's walked or if you don't notice it when you're driving, but there is a little bit of hill in there. So anybody can do it though, especially with the electric bikes.
And we welcome anyone in Cornwall to turn up. And the other three routes, one goes up over the Ainsfield Bridge, Dugway, and then goes up Salmon Kill, round the Twin Lakes and back down Sand Road. That's 21, 25 mile maybe. 40 mile goes a bit further, it swings off, goes quite hollow, all the way back around Sharon and down through and up Salmon Kill and around the Twin Lakes. And the super one goes right over Green Hill, down to West Cornwall, and then all the way around Sharon and back around there.
Wow.
But you can do it with an electric bike.
Great, okay. Well, consider it done.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Terry.
good luck. And Jonathan will file it with the necessary people. Are there any public comments? Okay. All right. Moving on to the main part of the agenda. The first thing is steep facade grants. We do have, we're halfway through the third round of steep facade grants. The application did a particular emphasis on agricultural buildings and barn preservation this time. And we've awarded approximately $50,000 worth of grants so far. There's about another $70,000 available. There's probably another couple applications that are pending right now. But if businesses or farms want to spruce up the roadside parts of their buildings that are visible, such things as roofs, energy efficient windows, handicap access, painting, and some other projects as far as landscaping and parking, in conjunction with fixing up a building, signage, are all eligible expenses. So those grants are available, and many businesses in Cornwall have taken advantage of them, but we have to complete the program by the end of the year. So we hope to have a flurry of applications. The grants are quite generous. It's 80% of the first $10,000 of expenses, so that's a pretty good deal for people. And so anyway, and the applications and information is available on the town website, and they are also available here. So anyway, just thought that's an important opportunity for people in town to take advantage of. Next, we have the community email report. The community email has been launched. Any updates from the board or clerk?
So we have over 100 people subscribe, which is a good percentage to begin with, but we'd like more. So you can find the link on cornwallct.org, or you can email Jonathan if you need help with signing up. I think we're going to send the first one out Thursday after, with the recap of this meeting and any other information that people want to send out. The deadline going forward for individuals and committees and businesses would be the Tuesday before the email goes out at 12 o'clock. But we'll make some exceptions for this round if anybody has any information that they feel should go in the newsletter. News and events.
Right. Not
opinions.
Not opinions, not items for sale.
No.
Right, so, yeah, one thing that's, we'll talk about later in the agenda where I think, is really shows the need for something like this is, we've just got a press release from the health district about the coronavirus, and, we'll talk about this later, but again, having accurate information is really important. There's a lot of people walking around with masks on in the United States right now that probably don't need to do that, but there is a lot of preventive actions that people, sensible things to do that people should know about, and again, we can forward that to people. We can put that as part of the newsletter, and there are a lot of links to the CDC as far as prevention, and it's much. There's several type of categories, but one thing is if you preventive action everybody should take. The other thing, if people feel they are sick with some symptoms, then certainly then the mask and other measures are certainly warranted and appropriate. So it is important that people stay informed, and I think again this illustrates the ability that we get a lot of information from regional, state, and federal governments, and this may become a big, I mean it already is a big issue, but its importance will only increase likely over the next weeks and months. So having the ability to reach out to people with the latest information about what's going on locally, regionally, intelligently is really important. So again, I think this is one of the things that people can get for free is access to information on important health and safety things. So anyway, again, that would be good. We encourage everybody to participate.
Yes.
Anything else? Jonathan? Any insights?
Excuse me. Joyce signed up for the email, so that's a big time.
We're in good shape.
Oh,
Okay.
that's good.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Good. So then, all right. So next, next item is the update from Mira. Again, I sent the board some things. There is going to be a budget increase last year. I mean, excuse me, next budget year for disposing of our municipal solid waste, and we have included that in the budget as an increase. I think also in that handout was a report on the various 60 or so towns that belong to Mira and how much their contracts are and how much they're worth and things. And it is nice that we actually have the smallest contract with Mira. This is the how we get rid of our garbage, and their costs are going up dramatically. So anyway, we do have some exposure there, but I think it's manageable. And again, we've discussed ways of possibly reducing our solid waste proposal, the amount that we actually ship out. So that's all I had. I see we have 100% representation from the transfer station tonight. Any things on Mira, or you just want to talk budget, or any comments on?
We're just kind of curious.
Yeah. So, I mean, the town, we did complete a questionnaire, I think at our last meeting. Currently we're spending $93 a ton. Would we sign up for 30 years at $145 a ton? We declined to sign up for that, just saying that seems like a lot, and going to regional meetings, we know that other towns are adamant that they're not going to do that. I think we're committed to stay with a regional approach, and hopefully they can find some way to solve our problems that doesn't require a 50% increase in our tip fees. Then we'll probably deploy some local strategies over the next couple of years to reduce the amount we do dispose of. But again, it seemed like that $145 a ton was a non-starter for most municipalities. So I think they sort of knew that. They were hoping to come in Originally, it's $65 a ton, and now it's more than double that, so, that's not really a healthy trend. One thing to point out, that does also include a guaranteed zero tip fee for recyclables. And again, I think our ability to recycle a large percentage of our waste puts us in better shape than some of other municipalities that aren't as successful and aren't in diverting some of the waste stream. But I think that's sort of where we're at, and we're a fairly small fish in a big pond. But I know Salisbury, I think most of the towns around here are committed to going with a regional solution to getting rid of our garbage. Just that cost impact seemed like that would be devastating, especially for the larger municipalities. So that's as far as we've gotten with Mira.
We're paying $90 a ton?
We're currently 90. They want to go increase it this year to 93,
93,
and then
gradually up to 145.
we're gradually within 3 years up to 145. So that's not
too gradual.
That's pretty much a whiplash. We're currently budgeting, I think, $24,000, which is modest compared to a lot of other municipalities. So if we want 50%, that's $12,000 over 3 years. Not a huge hit for the town, but again, significant. And again, it seems like everything's sort of in play at this point.
Would there be any way to take the revenue that the transfer station generates from redeemables, the copper, aluminum that we recycle, any way to keep that, to put that towards the tipping fees, or kind of offset that? I'm not exactly sure where it's going now. General fund?
Yeah, so I mean, there's generally a firewall between revenues and expenditures, that if you make more money in the course of the year doesn't mean you can spend more money. It's basically what gets budgeted in the expense line and what gets budgeted in the revenue line.
Yeah.
So we have to treat them as a separate, and money that comes in doesn't go to replenish the lines. They're replenished every year through the budgetary process. But again, we want to encourage things to be as efficient and as cost effective as I think is possible. And again, we appreciate the efforts to maximize our recycling dollars.
The fiscal year 2018-2019, we recycled more material than we threw out. So that's a good thing for Cornwall.
And that's pretty rare.
Yeah, I think, if I remember the numbers, something like 260 tons of household garbage got disposed of.
Mhm.
Recycling was 320 tons
Yeah.
total. So
Yeah.
more is getting recycled by our residents.
Right, and I think most towns, if they're doing 30%, they're doing well, but this sounds like we're doing over 50%, which is probably right up there in the top amounts.
There's still improvement that can be done.
Right. Great.
Do we pay for the recycling, or we get money for it? I'm thinking of the bottles and plastics.
It depends on the product, but I think right now we're not being charged for them. So we used to get money back for the bottles, cardboard, and paper. It's been a flat market. In fact, a negative market for the last several years. We do get money back for some of our precious metals and our steel. I believe we still get money back for our metal boxes and things.
Yeah. I was just wondering if the towns, whether the government could, I know they've stopped giving out plastic bags, you bring your own, but we try not to get plastic, but we are vegetarian. You go in there and all the lettuce and everything is in the hard plastic boxes, the biggest thing we throw away at the dump here is just our plastics.
Right.
Empty, hydroponic boxes, hard plastic. I'm just wondering if the towns could actually get the government to get them to put it out as just.
Well, I think that some of those, can't those clear plastics be recycled, gentlemen?
Yes, they are.
They are.
Right.
Okay.
Along with the plastic bags.
Yeah.
We are one of the only towns around that actually deal with the plastic bags as of this point right now. we've actually had to educate some of the participating members, the bigger stores, that we brought them a piece of paper to say, you know, are you guys aware of this, you know? And they've actually, you know, opened their doors to us recycling the plastic bags.
That's good.
So that's a plus.
Yeah, good news story there, Ruth. Right, okay, so anything else on Mira?
I have one thing, Gordon,
Yeah.
if I may. As a regional, I have a regional group. Have you discussed possibly a letter to the state asking for their help?
With Mira funding?
Yes.
Yeah, the Mira board is comprised of municipal officials. And
Correct.
so they are looking for state funding to try to help with the renovation of the plant. But the state has its huge fiscal challenges, so they are pushing their representatives to try to come up with some state help on this. And part of it, there's a couple different things they could do as far as not just give money, but how they classify the power that's generated by the generators and stuff would help if that was classified as renewable power as opposed to just straight power, because that used to be quite a money maker, and it's not anymore because the price, apparently the bulk price of electricity has collapsed. So there are the council of governments, and the actual head of the Mira board sits on our council, so they keep us informed, and they are approaching their state people to see if they can help out with it. But state has pretty serious constraints at this point, so I don't know how they're going to do, but there seems like there's some regulatory changes they can give relief for that would
Right.
translate into some valuable help. It's not just money.
No, correct. That's what I was
Yeah.
hoping that I'd hear.
Yeah, so I think they are pushing because DEP is very involved with this whole thing. They do not want the prospect of this plant to just go away and then all the garbage then gets trucked out of state to Ohio or Virginia, which would be in its own way an environmental big step backward because of all the trucking and pollution from that. So anyway, they're involved with it. Mira says sometimes the DEP is more helpful than other times, but anyway, they are working on it. And it is, basically Mira is a municipal co-op of sorts. Anything else about recycling, garbage? Anything else? Okay, next budget 2021. We did submit our draft budget to the Board of Finance last week. The Board of Education submits their budget next week, and then the Board of Finance has a general meeting on the 19th of March to start putting things together and see what the overall picture looks like. One of our under discussion areas is the Economic Development Commission, and Janet Sanders is here, and there is a little, I think we got a flyer explaining their request for an increased budget. Currently the budget is $5,000, and they requested an increase to $7,500. So Janet, this is a nice presentation. Any
I
elaboration?
still want my sheets back. I forgot to leave those myself.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'll give you that one.
And for the record, please, to see Janet Carlson and Janet Carlson Sanders.
Okay.
Okay, so what would be most helpful?
Uh,
Kind of to
Just give
walk
us an,
us through it, or-
well, I mean, again, we use our meeting as an opportunity and for people to talk a little bit about their organizations, where they're at, whether they're bicycle races or nonprofit organizations, but it's a good thing. Just if you want to take a little bit to overview where your commission is at and where it hopes to go in the coming year.
Sure. Janet Carlson or Janet Carlson Sanders, take your pick.
Sorry.
No worries at all. I've been married to a man for a very long time. So I've been chair of the Economic Development Commission for 8 years. I think it's been in existence for 9 years, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. So I've been involved with the EDC pretty much from the beginning. And one of the things I can tell you, having the benefit of this period of time, is that we're finally hitting our stride. I think it's to the point where we're able to move the peanut forward, and you can see it happening. And I think that there's been a positive benefit. We've actually added 3 members that are under 30. So this has been kind of exciting to have membership that has a different viewpoint than some of the other membership. So I think it's been, and Marina's been coming to the meetings, which has been terrific too. So I just love having the different generations, but we're all working together, and I think it's been very beneficial. A couple things that we've accomplished in the last couple of years is really getting the Explore Cornwall site up and running. This is something that's a work in progress. It really launched in this past year. The social media was really championed by Jackie Schiller, who is amazing at it. She was really on top of that. And Jackie rolled off the board at the end of the year, so we're really looking to bring some of the younger members in and hire a couple of interns to really take over that job, because it's not something you can post once a month. It's got to be upkept, and it's an ongoing process. We had also put together a business directory, so that was kind of an ongoing process. We had also launched a couple of the visitors boards, so we have those in several locations, and those have like flyers and updates and maps and things like that. So a lot of stuff, the core things that you want to have as an EDC are in place. The money that we have remaining in 2020, up until I think June 30th, we have some money to spend. We're actually pulling a team of people. There's apparently a whole bunch of advertising people who live in the hills and have been a little bit quiet, but we've been recruiting to put together a team of people who have run advertising agencies. So we're actually having a creative meeting in March and putting together this group of people to really talk about how we can create a campaign for Cornwall that's going to be unique. And since we have the talents of some people who are fantastically gifted and have run major advertising agencies in New York City and elsewhere, why would we not tap into that? And I think it'd be a heck of a lot of fun too. So that creative meeting is scheduled. We're going to look at creating a landing page for the campaign, update the existing Explore Cornwall site, do some more social media advertising for Cornwall, and this all dovetails in with the tourism effort that's being focused in the northwest corner. So the state is putting money into our area, not only here, but Fairfield County also. And when you have some of that energy and money being spent to put eyeballs over here, we need to raise the flag as high as we can. And I think by having a really cohesive additional campaign, that's going to be quite helpful to do. So the budget that I talked about for next year, and unfortunately, I sat in front of, no, I was looking for the one with 7,500. Oh, here it is. I was sitting next to Dan Scher, who is one of the EDC guys from Washington, Connecticut. And of course, the folks down in Washington, Connecticut have put $55,000 into their EDC fund. When you go to Washington, actually, I was down in Washington, Connecticut very recently. This is hopping. And I mean, and there's a lot of different reasons for that. It may not be all the EDC, but you can see that a lot of energy and a lot of money have gone into really pulling their town together. So couldn't help be envious of that, not gonna lie. Not asking for $55,000, although it's been a tactic I've used in the past. But I felt like upping that money a bit would start moving us towards be able to accomplish some of the other goals that we're trying to achieve. And here, the goals we had set for 2020 and 2021 include, a buy and hire local campaign, which is going to tie right into the Explore Cornwall and Consider Cornwall campaign. So, supporting a year-round farmers market, I know that there have been some challenges with that. That's okay. Challenges are good, and I think that it would be helpful to have availability of those things year-round. And I think that there's a way that we can set it up so that it's on neutral grounds. I think it can be a Swiss effort, and I'm a big believer in that. Upgrading the website, the Civic Lift had been the group that we've worked with on the website. They are offering an upgrade. The upgrade is very reasonable, and they've been a good partner to us. So they're offering us kind of like the first round of upgrades, and I did budget for that, if that's a possibility. Again, social media ad campaigns, it's cheap, it's trackable, and it works. I mean, that's a lot of the stuff that we're working on. And I would certainly love to hire a few interns to work on this, and those can be local kids that can also get some experience, and like down the road they can get hired by advertising agencies or work on their own too. So there's opportunities to develop some folks. We'd also looked at potentially purchasing a cooler with a glass door, and maybe we could even have something over at the Union to be able to have produce or milk or something like that that would be available in a cooler. The cooler's not that expensive. I looked at it on Amazon. It's a little bit over $1,000. Ryan Craig is actually somebody who would also help perhaps get a used cooler that might be a little bit cheaper. But when I looked on Amazon, it looked completely reasonable. It had a ton of stars, so I thought it might be a good place to start. Hosting speakers from Northwest Connect. We wanted to keep up to date on Northwest Connect, inviting speakers to talk about that, inviting the public in, providing refreshment. This would really bring people together. People, when they have a little bit of something to eat and drink, are more apt to listen and participate. Having a speaker series. Kate and Simon have been working to put together a monthly list of speakers, and then having a little bit of food and drinks available for the public to be able to participate. If there needed to be things printed out to be able to give out at each of the speaking sessions, we could offer that so that the speaker wouldn't have to pay either. And looking to improve connectivity in Cornwall via cell and fiber. There's an opportunity to hire consultants over at Advance. The Cornwall Education Network actually has fiber that runs right outside on Route 128, and there might be an opportunity to figure out how to pull that into, like the Hughes Library that can get a grant for that, and then maybe even look at fibering up Cornwall. But Advance would be able to provide a consultant, and it's a couple $1,000. So we could pay for part of it out of this year's budget and part of it out of next year's budget, but actually be able to have someone, it's called a Quick Start program, and potentially look at having some guidance on how that might be done. So that is what I put together. Dee and I had worked on this budget, and I discussed it a bit with the EDC. We had talked about the 7,500, and then we were asked to really break that down, and I wanted to provide that to you guys to see if you had any questions or anything else that I can answer while I'm sitting here.
I'm curious as to the analytics around the explorecornwallct.org site. Like, how many people are actually using it? What's the goal? Because I know it's an ongoing effort. Because I think the larger website issue is going to come back around. There's rumblings of it. And so, we have 2 websites. People are talking about a third. And I want to know, I know the goals of the Explore Cornwall, but I'd like to know the usage and what the optimal usage will be down the line.
Yeah, I think, one of the other things too is, and I don't have the numbers on.
Yeah, no, whenever. I'm just curious.
I will, we've got Google Analytics on
Yeah,
that, so I
I know.
can do all that. I apologize, I didn't, that didn't occur to me, and I don't know why. But I think the goal of that previously was to look at, supporting business in Cornwall, but also being a prospective tourist or prospective, resident of Cornwall. So, I mean, the municipal site is really for municipal stuff. Visitors and, potential residents probably aren't going to look at what day the dump is open. So we always use the municipal site as being for people who live here, and the EDC site as being for people who either have a business or are looking to bring a business or move to Cornwall. So it's more for prospective people. That was the viewpoint on that.
Right, no.
And there's an opportunity with Civic Lift to bring that all together.
Yeah, I would
It's
love
not
to see
expensive.
that, because like
And we
I
can
feel like
certainly
it's
talk
like
about
it
it.
exists, but
Yeah.
how is it getting out into the ether?
Yeah. Well, what we do also is when things are going on, we do post events on there.
Yeah, I know, I've
And
used
that's-
it.
Yeah, and that's.
I'm just wondering how many people are going to,
I don't know.
yeah,
the
that's
answer
just
to
what
that.
I'm curious
And I
about.
think that, I mean, in the past, it's not hugely used,
But the
Um,
goal
it's
is
the-
that,
but what I've seen is when we do post, that's when people come.
okay,
That's what made the difference. When Jackie was posting.
yeah,
I mean, I know we've dropped off a bit just because Jackie was posting on Instagram
yeah,
and
yeah, and she was
Facebook.
good.
And I'm telling you, I mean, the Explore Cornwall Facebook site drives everything into the website.
Yeah, okay,
So, I mean, I can tell you that kind of all works together. But
Yeah.
you want, I mean, obviously we want to have a website as a base.
yeah,
Because there's people who don't use Facebook, and there's people who aren't on the community network, and there's people who don't do social media. So we want to have a base for that.
Just a couple other questions. I didn't know in advance, did this type of consulting work, so before we put it in the budget, we'd like to have something
Oh,
like
sure.
where they worked, what would we get? I mean, I'd be open to that, but I know a lot of people are sort of looking at this, and I hadn't heard of it advanced.
It was,
The go-to people.
I didn't know either. The CEN people actually said, and they gave me a name of a person at Advance to talk to, who specifically deals with this quick start. And if I'm thinking, like I looked at my budget, and I was gonna, I mean, like, if I get a little bit less of my budget, I'll go negotiate with them. I mean, if we have an opportunity to do that. But I will find out exactly what the quick start is and exactly who the person is, but I have that in an email at home.
Right, so that would be good to have that.
No problem.
The second thing, the cooler idea, which is noble, but I feel pretty strongly that the town tax dollars shouldn't go towards one business or one idea that's not open to all businesses. In the same way we had a facade program, which would be available.
Right.
If this is a farmer's market or whatever else, that, or the union could apply for upgrading the building the way all businesses do, but we haven't in the past bought equipment for businesses or ventures. So I would like to see that policy continue, that all businesses could get access to the same programs, and then we don't all just say we're gonna buy something for that, because it wouldn't be a town-run farm market or whatever else. It would be, again, I think there are other places that do food and stuff, so they, for the new restaurant, we're not buying them a grill or something. So I think it's important that we have some sort of uniformity in what grants or funding is available for businesses
Okay.
throughout.
Well,
But I think that if there is a brick and mortar farm market or whatever it's going to be, a country store or something, they could apply to the facade program the same way other people can, and maybe get equivalent funding or even more funding. But I think it should be done uniformly across businesses, not we buy certain things for certain people, because that's just not something that we normally do.
Okay, I'll shift that budget into something else.
Okay. Any other questions, thoughts? So we'll hear back about what quick start is.
Yeah, I can get that for you. I think I can probably get that for you tomorrow. Is it important to get it just by a certain date?
No, because we have time to,
Okay.
Continue our discussion.
Tomorrow, because I have the contact person.
right. Okay,
I'll get
Thank
back.
Thank you for this.
Yeah.
yep,
I'll get back
Thank
the
you.
notes. If you
Great.
guys need additional stuff,
right.
just let me know.
Great, okay, thank you. And I think it is really important for the town to have a presence out there in cyberspace and let people know we're here and all the stuff that is going on here. And because a lot of it's not obvious, and people are more and more looking for it on a phone as opposed to other things. So again, thanks for all your efforts to make things that aren't obvious more obvious.
Keep the corn in Cornwall.
That's it, got it. Okay, great.
I'm gonna do this too, just so you there's the
More copies?
stuff, no, it's just the stuff from this year, just so you kind of
Oh,
know
okay.
like the next couple
Right.
months, what's
Nice.
coming, just so that
What's
that's our
coming?
remaining budget.
Good.
Yep,
Well, it's good to know what's coming.
yes, want to keep you up to date, man.
Thank you.
Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, any other comments on the budget? 2020, 2021. So again, we have a couple meetings, Board of Finance coming up. I think we're good. John, anything on, seeing you here, you're also, the other hat is Park and Rec thing, even though this is not a,
So no money involved.
there's no money,
But we've been talking for a couple of years about trying to keep the balls out of the ticket fest and going bush places where I go and have to dig them out, come out bloody.
And you are the resident guy who does
Yes,
that.
yes, that's my job. The Northwest United has approved some money to put, and of course we'll get some idea what it actually is, on basically both ends of Foot Field. The top end that goes into the driveway, there's a really nasty area up there, and then at the bottom end of Lower Foot Field, the balls that go down there pretty much don't come back because it's pretty crazy down there. So they want to put some fencing up right along as far out as the weeds are essentially at each end, right at that line. And at least we'll be able to keep the balls that are on the ground, rolling on the ground past the goals, without putting some giant netting or something like that up, which would be more expensive and a bigger project.
so this is fairly low to the ground, we're not talking about
Yeah, I'm guessing
big
probably
cage.
similar to
The fence is-
that we have
right.
on the upper foot field, which is about 4 feet.
4 feet, yes, like standard.
Would be
Yeah.
my guess. It would be something like that, rather than, I've been to fields where they have 20-foot.
Yeah, I think the aesthetics of that piece is important, and I think,
You probably barely see them.
right, at 4 feet, 20 feet, we'd be hearing about it pretty quickly.
The only thing it means that I have to cut the weeds and briars off of these new fences, because that's the
Right.
way they grow, of course.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
more work, but.
right. Wonder if you can almost do something temporary during the season and take it down and mow it.
Absolutely.
You know, that's what I would think.
I haven't, they've got a meeting coming up, and.
I mean, that would be my preference, if we could just keep it, have an in-season thing, and then take it down so you can mow it and just maintain it. Because I know it's a challenge to keep the weeds out of the netting, and if we could just do it
We have some
as needed.
temporary type stuff on the side, towards the road right now that, could be the type of thing
Right.
that we use, that we could do that,
And then it would just roll it up and boom. Right?
something like that.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So let's continue to talk, and it sounds reasonable. As long as it's-
The only other thing about Northwest United is, as I think you all are aware of, where we are in middle school sports program now, that soccer program is going to be, as it has been for a couple of years, mostly at Sharon. And I think that opens up, maybe in the fall particularly, to have a really strong program of Northwest United here in Cornwall, because there won't be any conflict essentially. I think the practices and everything for middle school soccer is going to be at Sharon and as well as the games. So that it's something to consider if it gives them some more flexibility that
So where are we with middle school sports? Just not to go way off the
Well, you
topic,
know,
but I mean, so there would be just one regional soccer team based in Sharon?
That is the plan that went, so where we have ended up at this point is that they pulled it out of the regional school budget and made an agreement through the ABC committee to do it through the individual school boards. And basically all the boards came online, and this you can see this, I'm sure this is on tape someplace. And everybody, Kent came on as well in a limited basis.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's going to be involved in some fashion. Kent's reserving some of their teams that they've established, and not going to have their kids doing that. So the proposal that Ann, I think most of you all probably seen at least some portion of Ann's proposal, and the soccer program is going to be at Sharon, and they have some additional programming. I believe the art garage part would be at Sharon in the fall as well. So that's another additional piece that would be there.
Good. Okay, any other questions for Park and Rec, Northwest United, Region 1 Sports? Anything else for Representative Day? Anyway, thanks for the summary, John. Good. So, next thing we have is Northwest Council of Governments resolutions. We had a couple of things. Regional initiatives we're supposed to sign off on. One has been pulled, leaving us with a regional dog pound thing. Did you guys want to get a copy of this thing? It's sort of, it's not a big, it's not a Cornwall heavy involvement issue, but
Oh wait, this is.
we got that one. We got it. So the council of government, which is a regional authority, occasionally has these regional performance incentive programs, and that enables us to do the state-sponsored programs that encourages towns to work together. And so occasionally there are programs that come up, and things like we share highway equipment, like the sweeper and the gravel screener that's down at the transfer station is jointly owned. So anyway, so the latest thing was that they wanted to do a Litchfield Hills shelter facility, which would primarily be used to be placed, I believe, in Torrington and be used by some of the towns around Torrington. We have a good relationship with the Little Guild, which we'll talk about later, that enables us to deal with our stray animals without having to go to another town. So we're not in on this thing, but again, just having something that would be available if we had a big emergency or whatever, I think makes sense. And again, animals are important thing to look after, so all we need to do is have a resolution with the board that we endorse this program, resolution to endorse the construction of a Litchfield Hills Animal Shelter facility as part of the Regional Performance Incentive Program. So is there a motion to do that? Right, and then allow me to sign it on our behalf.
Yes.
So there's a second from Priscilla.
Second from Priscilla.
Great, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good, so we'll get that done. I'll sign it. And Jonathan will fill in the blanks tomorrow. Great. Next, two additions to the agenda. The coronavirus has been a very important issue that's been getting a lot of publicity recently. And I think it's important for people to know that there is a regional response and responsibility that's happened, that's, our response is overseen by the Torrington Area Health District, which our town, in addition to about 15 other towns, belong to. It's based in Torrington. But the town of Cornwall is a charter member, and one of the things we get from that is actually having a director of health who spends his time thinking about these things. And years ago we had a planning process for outbreaks, and I forgot what it was, whether it was smallpox or anthrax or something. So anyway, we do plan for regional health problems from time to time, and so on Thursday there is going to be a meeting of municipal officials at the health district offices in Torrington, and I'm going to go, and I might be joined by Diane Beebe, our emergency management director, and perhaps Joyce Hart, who is captain of our ambulance squad, because this could have a large impact on the town just as a health issue. I think everybody's been following things, but as I said before, I think it's very important to not panic but be prepared.
Sounds good.
And again, seeing what's going on, these people are following this. There's a flow of information, and there's good things that we will put out to people about how to be prepared, what to do. And, again, that will have, it's my impression that this is an ongoing thing, that it's evolving, and I'm not a health expert, and it's dangerous sometimes if politicians pretend to be health experts, but the thing that resonated to me, I think made the most sense as a layman, was this is perhaps can be looked at as being a very bad flu season. And there's especially the vulnerable members of our population are going to be the most at risk. So again, having a fairly elderly population, it's something we should pay attention to and get good, calm information out there to people, how to prepare for such things. So again, I think it's good to be ahead of things, and hopefully it will resolve without the worst case scenario. But I think we do need to know much more about how to prepare for it. So we'll be working on that, and I'll report back at our next meeting as far as that, and we'll just keep it on the front burner.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
We'll send that out on Thursday.
Yes, and that will be something, as well as if, so I think it's very thorough. And I think, again, it's another thing we can talk about is when Terry was EMD, we encouraged everybody in town to have an emergency preparedness kit and be self-reliant and assume that when things happen, the best place to shelter is shelter in home, and people should have a supply of medicine, a supply of food, a supply of fuel, medical information, contact stuff. There's a lot of things people can do, whether it's a tornado or a nasty virus, to keep us resilient and get through things the best we can. So anyway, we'll use this as an opportunity to reach out. Next, you got I think a copy, did you get a copy of the email from Tom Eucalito, who came in and said he'd like to volunteer for a town board, and he expressed interest on being in planning and zoning commission because he's trying to start a small business in town, and he's a new resident of Cornwall Village and has time and ability to do things, so I think he'd be
Did we ever get anybody to be on the Torrington area?
Well, I had to look. Josh Tyson has
okay.
expressed an interest, so I was going to ask Jonathan to look through our minutes for that, and I know he did, and I know I talked to Rob Rubio, and they were trying to connect, but because Rob has been so busy with the virus thing, that they haven't had time. But I think Josh would be an excellent addition, so why don't I find that and we'll
Yeah,
act
so I
on
think we've
that.
talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we'll
Let's
put
do
Josh on the next thing and just confirm
Okay.
it, that all works for everybody.
Okay, good time for that.
Yeah. Okay, so I make a motion then that we appoint Tom Euclid to be an alternate on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second?
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's really nice when somebody walks in and volunteers.
That's it, yeah. It's kind of exciting. Yeah, good. Next, we did get a letter from Abigail's Little Guild, following up on conversations we've had in the past about giving financial support to the Little Guild, as they are a long-established,
I called her
Cornwall
when I
thing.
got this letter,
yep,
because I told her I'd like to know a little more about what they did. So what she wrote back to, on the phone, and then she sent me the email. Average length of stay for a K9 at Little Guild is 2 months. Average adoption fee is $3.50. Average number of dogs that could be in the kennel, if available, is 6. And the cost for keeping the kennel open is $2,100. Because I felt that this letter was very broad,
Yeah.
and I wanted more backup, because I basically am a real strong supporter of the Little Guild, and she was like iffy between 1,000 and 2,000 annually, and I wanted to be sure that we support them.
Well, I'm surprised that she didn't add, because I think also veterinarian fees for dogs that are impounded, dogs and cats that are impounded, but maybe that's in the cost to the Little Guild for keeping the kennel open. But
Well-
that was the figure that I had heard as well.
Okay, but I would like to recommend that we give them at least 2,000,
Okay.
based on this information.
yeah. I think the other thing too is I'm not sure how often we actually use the facility.
Well, Brad Hedden could probably tell
Yeah,
you
so
better
we'll
than
do that,
anyone.
but I think just having that available saves us a lot of money, so.
Yeah, I think so
it
too.
does.
I
Yeah,
think that's
it's a
the
good
thing.
investment.
Right, so
It's
I have
the
no
town.
problem with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we would then add that amount to, of next year's budget?
Very good.
That's fine.
Okay.
with me.
All right, so we can do that, and the other thing we could do, we could even add 1,000 to this year's, we could, because our dog fund is separate from the
I was gonna
municipal.
ask if it was.
Yeah, so there's it's a separate thing, and right now we've said we would put 3,500 in there for next year's budget. It's primarily funded by dog licenses.
Okay.
And the primary expense is for our dog, our animal control officers, so actually and probably only half of his caseload is pets.
Right.
Yeah.
The rest of it's the wild
Yeah.
creatures. It's Cornwall. So again, that seems like and Brad does a great job
Thank
for
you.
things. So anyway, if we wanted to do that, just to keep that, so then we'd make a motion to put 2,000 of the dog fund. Barbara felt we had enough with the $3,500 we have in there, that some of that could go to the Little Guild. So
Good.
that would be covered.
That's great.
Okay?
Thank you.
So we would do that. Good. All right. So anything else from Little Guild?
No.
Let's see. So then that's our additions. We go to tax refunds. The clerk has something ready for action. Okay. Okay, we have $4,000 in tax refunds. We have an overpayment of real estate tax. Two overpayment of real estate tax. One by a resident, one by a bank. It's like bank error in your favor, but you don't get to keep it, unfortunately. So these are, these are upon recommendation of the tax collector, Jean Brullier. And so I'd make a motion that we grant these two, and again, as this has been an overpayment, that money is held in an account that can be returned. Okay, so I make a motion,
Second.
we do those two. There's a second, any discussion? You wanna take a look, see what's going on in tax world?
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, public comment. Karen Nelson is here to talk, to visit. Just to, yeah, okay, liven things up. All right, last chance for comments, back row, any comments out the back row, front row? Richard's asleep, nope, he's paying attention. Okay, thank you. I think that's about a question from the press.
Just a couple, how do you spell Tom's last name?
Oh, good one.
Good question.
Okay, I can come close. Eucalitto.
Okay, and the dog thing, you're
The
putting
dog,
2,000 in
we're
for
putting
next
in
year?
next year's budget,
Okay,
yes.
but what was the 3,500 on the dog?
That is to cover, so we raise money every year from licenses and that covers the expenses of the animal control department. But we've been running more animals, mostly wild animals, than we've been running than the dog licenses can cover. So in next year's budget, we're already allocating some money from the general fund into the dog fund to help make sure we have enough money to take care of our animals for the course of the year. So some of that money, in addition to going to the animal control, will now also be going to Little Gill to give us space if we do have stray dogs.
So
that they
it's
can do it.
2,000 for Little Gill and 3,500 from the dog fund?
There's 3,500 being put into the dog fund, of which 2,000 will go to the Little Gill at this point. And if we need more, we can also allocate more, but that seemed to be something that we were.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any other comments? That's about it. Okay. Thank you all for coming.